Hey guys, I know I said my next video was going to be on cycling, and this is going to be part of the cycling. I'm going to make it a two-part video. The first part, I'm just going to talk to you guys about the filters and filtering your tank, and the second part is going to focus more on cycling it and things you can do to speed up your cycle, things you can do to make sure your cycle's on track and everything like that. So that's going to be in the second video. This first video is just going to be on the filters of your tank, and basically what goes on in your filter and the different kinds of filters. So to begin, the first thing you want to know about filters is that there are actually three stages that happen in your filter. The first is called mechanical filtration. What this does is it basically picks up any debris that's floating in your tank and it makes your water look clear. So that's the main purpose of mechanical filtration. You can use anything from there's like filter floss, there's little pads you can get, or you can even use sponges for mechanical filtration. And after the mechanical filtration, there is a biological filtration. Biological filtration can happen in either sponges, like a sponge filter, or you can use ceramic media. Ceramic media is more common in, let's say, like a canister filter or a sump. I'm not really going to talk too much about sumps ever in any of my videos because sumps aren't a very common filtration method for axolotls, just because sumps tend to have a very high water flow weight, so they're not really commonly used. And I don't use them, so I probably won't ever talk to sumps. If you want to learn more about sumps, you should look at fish tank videos rather than stuff for axolotls. So the biological filtration is the most important part in a filter. Everything that you want to do, everything you're trying to do to make your tank stable and everything, almost all of it happens right in your biological filtration. That's why you can use sponge filters just as well, because all you need is a biological filtration, and a sponge filter is only biological filtration. This is where the cycling happens in the bio part of your filter as well. So as I said before, my next video is going to talk more about cycling. Just to let you know that the cycling happens in the biological part of the filtration. The second or the third step that happens in a filter is a chemical filtration. None of my tanks use chemical filtrations. I like to keep my tank stable without using chemicals. That way I don't have to repetitively put chemicals in my tank, with making sure everything's level. If I can do it keeping it all natural, it's a lot easier, a lot less hassle. When you get a hang on the back filter, these little inserts that you can get with a hang on the back filter, I'll show you. This is chemical filtration. What's in there is carbon. You get carbon, and then right here, the little pad stuff right here would be mechanical filtration. This is why I don't like hang on the back filters, because they give you this and they say it's good enough, but there's no biological filtration. I mean, there's a little bit, like you're gonna get stuff growing on the little pads and on the carbon and everything like that. Like you're gonna get some, but it's not gonna be enough. It's not. And a really big common misconception is that you can filter your tank, you can get rid of all your ammonia, nitrate, nitrites, everything with carbon, but carbon does do a little bit, but it's not substantial at all. You need a biological filtration in your filter. Carbon won't cut it. What carbon is good for though is, let's say your tank is really, really cloudy and you're trying to use mechanical filtration, but the debris is even too small, and it goes right through even mechanical filtration like this. You can use carbon, and carbon is really, really good at making your tank look clear. But other than that, carbon really isn't good for anything else. And those are the three stages that happen in your filtration, in your filter. And now I'm going to talk to you guys about the three big types of filtration, which is going to be a hang-in-the-back filter, a sponge filter, and a canister filter. There's other types of filters, but these are the three most popular, and the three you're almost always going to see someone try to use with an axolotl tank. So I'm going to try to cover all three of those for you guys. Alright, so I have a canister filter, this is a hang-in-the-back filter, and then a sponge filter. We'll start with canister filters. Canister filters are really nice because they can hold a lot of biological media, which means you don't have to worry about having too much waste for your biological part of your filter to handle. They're also usually pretty efficient, and they're really nice. But the big downfall to these guys is that, one, they're usually really pricey, and two, they usually cause a really high outflow rate. There are things you can do to make them not flow so much. You can get spray bars, and you can also try to put something in front of the outflow to make it so the outflow is not going to push so hard out. So these are nice. They hold a lot of biological media, and you can filter your axolotl tank no problem with a canister filter. It's just that they're really pricey, and you kind of have to mod them a little bit to make them not cause so much flow rate. So that's basically the canister filter for axolotls. Now, a hang on the back filter. These are nice, but and they're not very that expensive. You can get pretty cheap ones that work pretty well. But the one thing that sucks with hanging the backs is, one, you get those little insert things that just aren't good at all. I don't like the inserts. When I first started, I used inserts, and it's so much easier without inserts. But one thing that kind of sucks with them is the way the water flows through them. When the water flows through, it's not going to flow very efficient, so you're not really filtering as much as you possibly could be, like with a canister filter, where it's all with the canister filter, when the water is going through, it's all going through all of the media. But with the hand the back filter, it's just kind of touching some of it and then coming out. That's the one thing that kind of sucks with him. Also is the flow rate again. With the waterfall, it's going to push really hard down on the tank, with the water and everything. When I first started an axolotl tank, I used hang on the back filters, and I mean, it worked, but you could tell that the water flow was a little too much, and the axolotls were kind of getting stressed from it. I mean, it wasn't enough to the point where they were going to die from stress or anything like that. It just, if you can give your axolotl a better place, you might as well. But the one thing with the inserts, you don't have to use the inserts. What I'll do is what I showed you before, is you can actually use this stuff with a hang in the back filter. What you do basically is, when the water comes in, first, you can put some mechanical filtration into it, so when the water goes through, it gets all the water is going through mechanical filtration, so it's picking up all the debris. And then you can also just throw this in, and the water is going to go through mechanical first, and the mechanical is going to filter out all the debris. It's going to take out anything big that's floating in your tank, and then it's going to run to your biological filtration, which is where the ammonia and nitrate and nitrites are all going to happen here and all that, and then it'll flow out. And the nice thing with this, when you use mechanical filtration and it hits this, it's not going to be the water isn't going to be all full of gunk and everything, so you're not going to worry about your biological media clogging it all. I still usually rinse my biological media out every now and then. I usually rinse them out like once every 6 months. Like, it's not really that big of a deal. But what kind of sucks, like I said before, is when the water flows through, it's not really flowing through all of it. It's just kind of flowing through some of it and then coming back out. So you're not efficiently filtering your tank, but you are filtering your tank, and it's really nice to do if you have a hang on the back filter, to do this rather than using inserts. So that's my recommendation. If you have a hang on the back filter, just grab some mechanical filtration and then grab some biological filtration and do this. It's way easier. It's a lot less hassle. All you have to do is worry about is just check your mechanical filtration at least once every other day or so. Just because if this clogs, the water will start leaking out the back of it. That's why you want to check this in case, make sure it doesn't clog. That's another little bit of a downfall, but it's not that big of a deal. It's not really that common, and it would take more than a day for it to clog. It'd take like 2 weeks or so at least in order for it to make it clog. So if you're checking it every other day or so, it's not going to be a problem. And then for the next filtration method, which is a sponge filter, this is my most recommended filter to use, would be a sponge filter, mainly because you can get a ginormous sponge filter and you can just get the biggest air pump you want and throw it in there, and it's going to filter your tank really very efficiently, and it's not going to cause a lot of water movement. The one thing that's kind of a downfall with sponge filters though is if you get like one and it's kind of small, but it's still like rated for your tank, the problem that's going to happen is if you put it like, if I were to put this on the corner of the tank right here, a lot of this water would be filtered, but you could still get dead spots, and like this side of the tank could still get dead spot just because of the fact that it's just not, the water isn't flowing enough to get to there, so you might end up getting dead spots in your tank. But that's really easily, you can really fix that really easy. Either get a bigger sponge filter or move it over to the middle, or get one on each side. I'm probably going to switch to getting one on each side here eventually, just as a little added benefit type thing. The one thing that also kind of sucks with sponge filters is there's no mechanical filtration, so whatever it is in your tank is going to stay floating in your tank unless you suck it all out. You got to do water changes. You're going to have to actually, like, instead of like just changing out the water, you're going to want to try to find where all the debris is and soak it up and suck it all up, rather than just not having to worry about it. What I like to do is, I don't know if you noticed at all, I actually have a hang on the back filter, and I have a sponge filter in these tanks. The hang on the back filters don't stay on. The hang on the back filters don't have any biological media in them. All they have is a bunch of this like mechanical filtration stuck inside of it like that. And when I use it, if the water is looks a little like there's stuff floating around in it, I'll switch it on for like an hour or two to pick it all up, and I'll turn it back off. I do it like once a month, and it's gonna stress out the axolotls no matter what, but it's not to a sufficient amount where I'm not like endangering their life or anything near that. So those are the 3 different kinds of filtrations, common filtrations you're gonna see, and then the stages. So my next video is going to be more focused on the cycling aspects, more focused on the fact ammonia is going to get transformed to nitrite, to nitrate, and you have to change the water out, everything for the cycling process. So stay tuned for the next video, which is going to be focused on the biological section of your filter. Thanks. Oh, also, if you need help, and if sometimes I get busy and I can't answer every single question I get, or I'll get a question and I won't answer it until like a month later, because sometimes YouTube just won't even show that I have comments or anything like that. There's a website called Kadada.org. It's where I first started when I first started getting axolotls. I'll post a link in the description for you guys, so you should definitely check that website out. There's a lot of different people on there that can help you. So if you guys need help, you should check out Kadada.org. And thanks for watching again. And if you like the video, like it, subscribe, and hopefully I'll have another video out for you guys soon.